Let's call this former athletes getting weaker as you get older. You guys know I struggle tremendously to title these things because I tend to talk, off the hip. So I never know where this is going to go until I start doing it. But I shared something on IG about it was a Dan John thing. So Dan John shared this concept called like the farewell tour, right? So every time you go to a weightlifting meet, you lift and you say goodbye to that weight because you're never going to lift it ever again. That's why it's a farewell tour, right? So, let's say you're 40 and I don't know, you clean and jerk, 200 kilos, and now you say goodbye to it because you're never going to clean and jerk 200 kilos ever again, and at 45 you clean and jerk 180 and you wave goodbye to it, and then at 50 you clean and jerk 160 and you wave goodbye to it because as you get older you're not going to lift those weights ever again. Okay. And like I think we can all relate to that. There are things I did when I was young. I will never do that ever again. Like my best was it I think I box squatted. I don't even remember what it was. I feel like it was like 295 for 20 or something like that, at a body weight of like 150. Okay, to a parallel box, by the way. Not that that's anything that matters, but it's whatever. This is not a world record. Plenty of people do way more than that, but it was my best, and I will never be able to do that ever again. I'm in my 40s now, right? So I peaked at 29, and I hit my biggest lifts, and I will probably never hit those lifts ever again, unless they come up with something amazingly genetic engineering, okay? Which I wouldn't even bother doing that anyways. So really, truthfully, I'll never hit those lifts ever again because I'm not going to have gene engineering done. Here's the deal with this. And so, Dan talked about this and I shared this, and then someone messaged me and they asked me if it bothers me that I'm never going to be that strong ever again and how do I cope with it. And the honest answer is that I've actually never even thought about it. So I don't measure myself by looking back and saying, oh, hey, at 29, I did this, and so therefore I have to do it again at 40. Like, no man steps in the same river twice kind of thing. Like, it's not the same river and you're not the same man. I am not the person at 40 as I was at 20 or 30, for that matter. If you think about things logically, and I know this is not what you've heard from other people, so I'm going to say something here that's very contrarian. People will tell you shouldn't compare yourself to other people, but like maybe you should. Maybe you should, within reason. So like, I'm not going to compare myself to John Hack. That would be dumb. That would be really dumb. But I am going to look around at other guys in their 40s and say, I'm not doing too bad. And mind you, I'm very mindful of this, and this is something I've always been mindful of. I don't compare myself to guys using performance-enhancing drugs. Are there guys in their 40s who are squatting 1,000 pounds? Yeah. And there are guys in their 40s squatting 1,000 pounds using performance-enhancing drugs and squatting in gear. Okay. Compared to other guys in their 40s who aren't using, drugs and aren't using powerlifting suits, and, how many guys in their 40s are doing front squats with double body weight or more without using knee wraps or no belt, nothing, just literally just got a pair of shoes and go squat? Are there guys that are bigger and stronger than me? Yeah, of course there are. And they probably had a different career than I did. They probably spent their entire time building strength. I didn't. I've talked about this in the past. You guys know that when I was in my 20s, I was running 100 to 120 miles a week. Do you think that might have had an impact on my long-term maximum strength? Of course it did. Of course it did. If I would have spent 20 years doing powerlifting, I would have much bigger lifts than if I spent my 20s doing long distance swimming and running to become a Navy SEAL, which I failed at. I don't ever pretend like I didn't fail at that, but that was my goal, and then that's what I did. I did a lot of running and a lot of swimming. Max strength was not my goal. Did I have decent strength? Sure. I had decent strength, you know. At 150 pounds, I deadlifted 455, back squatted 365, and trying to remember, I think my best bench press at that weight was like, I never went heavy on bench presses because I was too focused on doing reps because it's all about push-ups, right? And so I think my best at that point was like 225 for 17. Okay. Are those world records? Hell no. You guys can go to Open Powerlifting and look up guys that weigh 150 pounds and they squatted way more than me, and deadlifted way more than me, and bench press way more than me. Like, those are not amazing numbers. But those guys also weren't swimming 50 to 60 miles a week and running 100 to 120 miles a week. So, like, bear that in mind. You know, the majority of my training was running and swimming and a lot of bodyweight PT. Good Lord, did I do a lot of bodyweight PT. I was doing pull-ups like every day, pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, you know, you name it, bodyweight PT every day, okay? So as I get older, would it make any sense for me to compare myself to my past self? No, not at all. It doesn't make sense for you to compare yourself to your past self either. You're not the same person. Think about your best lifts. You probably did them at a time where you were young and healthy and had never been injured. Okay. Well, I chose a very physically active career. So, you know, I have pretty gnarly joints at this point. You know, my meniscus is torn in both knees. The one knee has an MCL, PCL tear, quad tendon tear. The other knee, I think a MCL is torn, the meniscus is torn, and I feel like they told me something else. I have some kind of weird thing. I didn't even know this thing existed. They told me whatever the hell it was. I don't have a vastus intermedius in my left leg. The muscle belly itself tore, not the tendon, so you can't even reattach it. Both hips, I have TAM and pincher FAI in, and at this point in time, I've torn the labrum in both hips. You know, I have broken vertebrae. I have broken 1, 2, 3. I've broken 4 vertebrae. I've actually lost count of the number of discs that are bulging or herniated in my back. My L1 was actually compression fractured. So, you know, there's that. I broke my pelvis. Impact. That sucked. Broke my femur. That sucked. I've broken both arms. The epicondyles have been broken. The Lacertus fibrosis is torn in the one arm. Both of my shoulders look like trash. I've got, you know, damage to the labrum, damage to the rotator cuff. You know, both of my wrists have been broken at different points. My hands have been broken more times than I can count, you know, fingers and just bones in your hand. You know, I find it funny. All these guys talk about how they were fighters, you know, whether it's, you know, Ryan Russo or Alex Keekle or Paul Carter, they all claim that they were MMA fighters and boxers and stuff. Dude, I don't know where you fought, but like, you see this thing on my nose? That's because my nose is literally falling apart. Like, I've broken my nose and had it repaired so many times that there's like nothing left. Like, when the doctors look up my nose, they're like, I can literally see the bone. Like, you don't have any tissue left. So I have nasal valve collapse in both of my nostrils. That's, you know, this outside edge. And in my septum it actually has a hole in it from being bent back and forth so many times. Like, my nose is literally falling apart. I have to have surgery at some point where they're going to do bone grafts and cartilage grafts to repair my nose. Okay. You know, I have a torn retina in one eye. Most of my teeth are fake. Yeah, oh, I have nice teeth. Yeah, because they're not real. Most of my teeth were knocked out, broken, etc. My jaw's been broken. You guys can probably tell if you take a hard look at me. Can you tell which side was broken? Right, my jaw's not even anymore. You know, I've had a fractured orbital. I actually had to have the cauliflower surgically repaired out of my ears. These are just the things that happen from playing sports and from being physically active at a high level, okay? So how can I compare myself today with all these different physical injuries and assume that I'm going to lift the way I did when I was young and healthy? I mean, not only am I older, but I've accrued a ton of damage. I have arthritis. Like, I literally am missing a muscle in my leg. In my arm, my Lacertus fibrosis was torn off. Like, these are big things when you think about it. Like, and I had surgery where they had to cut through my abdominal wall. So I have this awesome looking scar that's like indented. Yeah, because they had to cut through my abdominal wall to get into my pelvis. So like, and the number of ribs I've broken. If you guys are anything like me, you had injuries from playing sports, or maybe you were in the military and you did a very physical job, and you accrued damage. So stop comparing yourself to your old self. Like, my 28-year-old, 29-year-old self would beat the shit out of me. He was invincible. And then, I got into a car accident, had many other injuries and many other experiences. I had an adrenal crisis twice now. Like I've been through a lot of things physically. So no, I don't compare myself to my old self. No, I don't feel bad about the fact that I can't lift what I used to lift. I'm happy just to be lifting at all. I was told I'd never walk again. And it's funny because I get a ton of hateful comments from people and messages even. Like, people message me and they're like, Mike Israetel's stronger than you. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, obviously, you suck at training because Mike Israetel's stronger than you. And it's like, yeah, but he's also 125 pounds bigger than me. So like he should be stronger than me. And like, this isn't some kind of, like, I don't understand this. But I've had people send me comments like that as if, I don't know. And I like Mike. So like this isn't a personal thing against Mike either. Like, I don't have an issue with Mike. But like, people will send me messages and be like, oh, Mike Israetel's stronger than you. It's like, yeah, I'm aware. Like, so is Donnie Thompson. Like, so is Ed Cohn. Like, yep, they're stronger than me. Like, so is John Hack. Like, why do people message me to tell me something like that, and like, it doesn't matter to me. I don't compare myself to those people. Look around at the people that are your age. The fact that you work out puts you ahead of 99% of guys. Like, look at the average 30-year-old. Look at the average 40-year-old. Look at the average 50-year-old. Like, if you can still run and you can still lift, you're kicking ass. So like, maybe, yeah, like, do compare yourself to other people. But like, don't compare yourself to fucking Chris Bumstead. Like, that's the mistake. Do you follow what I'm trying to explain to you? Like, don't compare yourself to, say, like I said, John Hack, right? Don't compare yourself to Brian Shaw. Don't compare yourself to, Eddie Hall. Don't compare yourself to, Chris Bumstead, or don't compare yourself to Hunter Labrada, right? Like, compare yourself to the average 30-year-old. Compare yourself to the average 40-year-old. Like, compare yourself to the average 50-year-old. Compare yourself to the average 60-year-old. Like, whatever you are. Like, oh, you're 65? Like, compare yourself to other guys who are 65. You can still run and you can still lift. You're kicking ass. Like, you're doing fucking awesome. So, no, don't sweat it if you can't lift what you used to lift. That would be silly. Like, I'm not 25 anymore. I'm not 30 anymore. I'm not, like, it's just, you can't hold on to those things. If I did it, it's done. It's in the past, and I am where I am today. And compared to other guys in their 40s, I'm doing okay. Like I said, I'm just happy to still be lifting. I don't even care what's on the bar. It really doesn't matter. I'd be just as happy squatting 95 pounds as I am squatting 345 pounds. It doesn't make a difference. So, anyways, and the other thing I'll point out to you guys too, this is just something for you to think about, is, to what purpose? Like, to what end? Like, how much do I actually need to be able to lift? I think my lifetime best deadlift was 495, double overhand, because I don't do powerlifting style, okay? Am I ever going to need to do that? No. No. But I can deadlift 225 for, I don't know, what did I do the other day? Something absolutely bizarre, like 20 sets of 6. And I did that in under 20 minutes. 20 sets of 6 with 225 in under 20 minutes. I feel like that's probably more applicable to real life than having a 500-pound deadlift. You know what I mean? Like, it's more likely that you're going to have to pick up logs for 3 hours than it is that you'll ever have to pick up something that's 500 pounds once. So, like, just think about stuff like that, A lot of times, you'd be better off being able to do a lot of reps with a moderate weight like 225 than being able to do 800 for a single. The guy who can squat 1,000 pounds for one, but he can't do 20 air squats because he gets out of breath. I tell you what, I'd rather be able to do air squats and not get out of breath than squat 1,000 pounds for a single, because there aren't too many times in my life where I'll have to squat 1,000 pounds for a single. So, just something for you guys to think about. Hopefully this helps you. I'm sure that lots of people struggle with this stuff, but I just want to remind you, if you're still lifting as you're getting older, you're still training, you're still running, like, you're doing great. Like, my lifetime best 200 meters was 22:33. I will never run that ever again, but I still run. I still sprint. How many guys in their 40s are still sprinting? Yeah. So, just consider it that way. I know, that's contrary, right? You're told to not compare yourself to other people, and I'm telling you, yeah, go ahead and compare yourself to other people. You're doing great.